I'm in Fernley, Nevada right now. If you've been following our stories for the last couple of days, we're in Nevada covering this really disturbing case, missing 18-year-old Naomi Irion. Jennifer Coffendoffer is with us too right now on the live stream, former FBI agent. We all know her well. She covers these cases closely too, and is awesome to give us her insight. And we just wanted to take a little while to answer some of your questions as we go into this pretty significant court hearing this afternoon that starts in about an hour or so for the kidnapping suspect, Troy Driver, who has been arrested. The sad and awful thing is that Naomi has still not been found. Jennifer, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Brian?
Good. Thank you for taking a little time to do this with us. I know you've been really invested in this case. You're one of the reasons that really that I came out here to Nevada, because you kept telling me you've got to go. What do you think? What's on the top of your mind going into this hearing?
Well, I mean, they have got to do a good job showing the particular probable cause details that will lead them to be able to get a no bond. So this isn't only about trying to get a no bond based on him not having strong ties to the community. This is about them showing facets of their case so they can show that judge, listen, we have the evidence that's going to convict him, and we need to keep him held so he can face those charges.
Yeah, I forgot to mention at the top, I'm in the Walmart parking lot right now in Fernley. This is where Naomi was. She came here early in the morning, regularly around 5 a.m. to wait on a work shuttle to take her to the Panasonic plant between where we are in Reno, in that area. And it's not uncommon. People will come leave their car in a parking lot like Walmart and then take a shuttle to save gas money and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, Jennifer, because up until this point, police really haven't released any information about, what sort of evidence they have. Are they going to have to tell the judge exactly why they're holding Troy Driver?
Yeah, they're going to have to present at least some evidence to establish probable cause and to show he is a danger to the community. They're going to talk about his past criminal history also, but then they're going to talk about the specifics concerning this case.
And let me get to some of these viewer questions because they're starting to come in. Laura is asking, will the suspect's past criminal behavior be taken into account for bond consideration? We know that he has a criminal history, convicted of accessory to murder back in the late 90s. Will that come up, do you think?
I think it will come up. The judge always wants to see their criminal history. Anytime we go into these hearings, we pull what we call NCIC, the National Center for the Crime Statistics, and we're going to want to show that they have or don't have a criminal past.
One other interesting question, Jennifer, on Twitter, someone tweeted me. Well, first of all, a lot of people have been asking what happened to that man's ear, the suspect's ear. I mean, I have also noticed, it's interesting. That's one of the main things on Twitter. I don't know if you've noticed, Jennifer, he has like a big chunk missing out of his ear in the mugshot. I'm not really sure why. Are you?
No, I haven't heard why, but we know he's done construction. We know he served a long prison stint. We know that he was involved in murder. He was convicted as being implicated as an accessory in that murder. So it seems he's lived a little bit of a violent past.
Yeah, makes sense. Another question on Twitter, has Walmart been cooperative with the investigation? This is kind of interesting because I interviewed Naomi's brother yesterday, and like we see in these cases sometimes, and it's sad, but he says he had a rough time getting police to really take it seriously for the first 24 hours. And he knew that Naomi came here to this Walmart to go to work. And so he drove over here on his own, went inside the Walmart and got Walmart security to show him the video, him and his girlfriend. So they were actually the first ones to see this video and realize, like, oh my gosh, like she's been kidnapped. And then called the police again and said, we've seen the video, we're at Walmart, please, like, we've got to do something. So the short answer to the question is yes, Walmart, it has been cooperating and even showed the family the video before the police even had it. That seems, it seems like they're cooperating. Is that what you understand too, Jennifer?
Yeah, but just to touch on the point you just made, Brian, that's really bothersome to me when I read all about that. That it was actually the family that had to go in and pull the video and figure out what part of the parking lot she was in, and that they weren't taken seriously by law enforcement. That's something that's going to have to change. And I think with the new spotlight on these cases that really Gabby Petito's case instigated, I'm hoping that we're going to see a better reaction for these departments to take these cases seriously.
Yeah, I hope so. And it was it's always troubling when a family talks to you about that, and they were very open about that when I interviewed them the night before last. That you can imagine the frustration in the beginning when you know your loved one and you know they wouldn't just not call and drop off the face of the earth, and you're kind of getting a bit of a runaround from authorities early on. So that I can't imagine how frustrating that must have been. Jennifer, I want to walk you over just to kind of show you the lay of the land here. I mean, it looks very much like any Walmart in a suburban area, and Lauren, our producer, is sort of manning the camera, so don't trip or anything, Lauren. But this is sort of the main parking lot here in front, and then I'm going to walk you over to the side where we've seen a surveillance video where this sort of apparently went down. We haven't seen the whole video. Police haven't released the full video publicly. Naomi's brother and his girlfriend did see the full video because, as I said, they were the ones who came to the Walmart on their own. I think it was the day after she first went missing, and were able to see the video. Let me ask you one question, though, from a viewer, Jennifer, just while we walk to the other side. Do you know of any other disappearances in this area and that could possibly be connected? Have you heard of anything for people disappearing?
No, and I've been scouring, trying to find that information, and I would have to think law enforcement is all over this, looking at their missing cases, looking at unsolved cases that have come to be after his release from prison.
I'll tell you just from being here, it's seems like a quiet, small city, and people seem to be really disturbed by this case, and everyone knows about it. I mean, everyone here is talking about it. That's not an exaggeration. When you say, Lauren, every single business we've gone into, gas stations, restaurants, hotel, every single one, there is a flyer about Naomi. So people are like really on edge, Jennifer, here.
Yeah, as well they should be. Thankfully, he's behind bars right now, but that's why this hearing is so important, Brian.
So we're on the side now of the Walmart. I'll step out of the way for a second so you can see Jennifer and everybody else. This is where the video came from, this side. We're not sure exactly where Naomi was parked. Again, we haven't seen the full video, but if you've seen the surveillance video, you'll notice this little overhang here is in the video, and you see the suspect in the hoodie walking around here, and Naomi's mom describes it as a predator stalking prey. I mean, it really is sort of chilling watching him walk around.
Right, Brian, and if I could just interject right now, this idea for viewers right now that catch shuttles, that are looking at places to park in dusk and late night hours, please don't park back in these areas. You need to park where it's well lit and the most trafficked area, just to keep yourself under the radar for these predators that look in hunting grounds like shopping malls and like Walmarts.
Yeah, and one thing I'll point out is here, if we kind of spin around, there's a lot of cars over here now. But at night, we were here the other night, like, what time were we here? Was it like midnight or 1 a.m.? And it's totally dead out here. There was like no one out here. It's not that lit. So you can imagine how early in the morning, 5 a.m., this would be a place where if you wanted to try to kidnap someone. One thing I did think of, though, is, Walmart has cameras. I mean, everybody sort of knows that. I was kind of surprised, Jennifer, that this, a career criminal wouldn't have thought that he was going to be picked up on camera.
Excuse me. This is the thing. When somebody has a lust, a desire to meet, as predators like this do have, they're willing to take these risks. And they realize that the hunting ground that they're going to have to go to probably has cameras. And again, their insatiable desire is far outweighs the risk of being caught on camera.
Let me show you, Jennifer. This, I believe, over here is the camera. There's a couple cameras over here on the corner. I think this, based on the angle of the video, it looks like this camera here above the door is the one that was able to capture him in the video that we've seen. So obviously that the fact that they had cameras was super helpful. Let me ask you this. I want to ask you a few questions from online, Jennifer, that we're getting. This is from someone on YouTube. Do we know if someone else was driving the car that the suspect got out of before getting into Naomi's car? Let me just read that again. Do we know if someone else was driving the car, so the truck that the suspect got out of before getting into Naomi's car? So do we think that Troy was with someone else? Oh, I'm sorry. We're in one of the workers here. Sorry, go ahead.
So interestingly, we know, at least based on reports, that he walked from a homeless area. That's what it was termed as. Not that he's homeless, but just came from that direction. And I've always wondered, how exactly did he get there? And that made me think right away that somebody could have dropped him off. But did they know his purpose? That's another question, or did he ask to be dropped off?
And there was some confusion in the beginning, the very beginning of all this, when the authorities said he came from the direction of a homeless area. Some people were sort of saying, oh gosh, is it a homeless person? It does not appear that it is a homeless person if this is in fact the guy who's now in custody. I mean, a lot of people have pointed out that truck, it's an expensive truck. I mean, it's a kind of a somewhat fancy pickup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. We don't have any indication that he was a homeless person, and we have every indication that he, in fact, is their prime subject because they've charged him. They are willing to go on paper and charge him with kidnapping.
We went to the place where they found the truck, Jennifer, which is about like 30 minutes, I would say, from here. And let me just get out of their way. They're kind of unloading stuff. It's about 30 minutes from here, kind of in a more rural area, kind of a disheveled house, I would say. There was a lot of like cars outside that looked like they weren't working. So it was kind of interesting to think that expensive of a truck would be at that location. We don't know for sure that he was living there. There was a woman there who sort of rushed right inside when we showed up and took our big camera out. And it was a gated lot, so I couldn't really get close. And I tried shouting questions at her, but we don't really know exactly who she is at this point. Let's kind of move. I want to show you something else, Jennifer. So this is the parking lot. And then, they found her car not far from here. And it's too far for us to walk, but you see that Lowe's. I don't know how good the signal is, but can you see the Lowe's in the distance?
Yes, I can.
So it was over in that direction. There was kind of an area, a gravel area, where you could pull off the road. And apparently a lot of truckers use that area to kind of stay the night. It's right out, it's not hidden at all. And that's where they found the truck. And this is interesting. This is something else the brother was frustrated about. Her car wasn't hidden. I mean, it was right out on the main road over there. And he feels like if the authorities had taken this seriously from the very beginning and started searching, like it wouldn't have taken them much time at all because it's just around the corner to have found her car very early on, which they started a little bit sooner, could have had an impact.
Well, especially considering the law enforcement authorities that are there. This isn't a bustling New York City or Chicago or Detroit where they're getting hundreds of calls every night that they're having to respond to. And this is something that's
Hold
really
on one second, Jennifer. Hold on. Sorry. What? Oh, sorry. We're with NewsNation. We're doing a story about the woman who was kidnapped.
Sorry, but I can't hear you. I have you filming.
Okay. You want us to leave?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to kick you out, but I can't have you.
Okay. I understand. We'll walk back to our car over on the other side. Okay. Yeah. So Walmart, one of the workers just came out, I think the manager, and said that we should leave, which I was kind of wondering if that was going to happen. So we're just going to kind of walk to the other side. But anyway, sorry, I got distracted, Jennifer. What were you saying?
Oh, no problem. No, basically, I'm just trying to point out, but before I get distracted, I do find it interesting that Walmart just asked you to leave, but of course, I think they don't like the idea of this correlation, right, between the Walmart and between this abduction. So at least they've been very cooperative. But in regard to the police response, that's why I commented early on that it's very disheartening to me that they didn't jump on this the minute she was reported, especially considering the fact that the brother was so detailed in her routine. She did not make it to work, and it would be so off of her normal schedule to do this, a schedule she
Yeah.
closely followed.
Well, and back to Walmart. I mean, it is. Listen, you kind of know me. I sometimes I just do things and ask for forgiveness later. So we've been in their parking lot for 3 days now, getting lots of shots and stuff. So, we didn't. Whatever. I think they've cooperated with the investigation. We actually have a spot right on the other side of their property where we can still see the building where we've been able to do our live hits. So we should be okay. Let me
But
see.
Brian, really quick,
Sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
referring back to that question you had about whether there was an accomplice or somebody dropped him off, because of the close proximity of that truck, I think it could be very likely that he walked from there, specifically came to this parking lot to hunt. It's not well lit. There was very few people around. He knew that Panasonic shuttle would be there. He
Yep.
likely had scoped this out previously and maybe saw Naomi as being a vulnerable target, and then drove immediately to her car to that truck, where then they went to a secondary location.
So someone on Twitter is asking, and I saw this photo. There is a photo circulating, and this woman messaged me too. There is a local woman who says that she was being followed in this parking lot by someone who looks like the suspect, Troy Driver, and she actually took a picture of him through a car window. It is not the truck; it is a different car that I did not recognize. Have you seen the photo, Jennifer? And if so, what do you make of it?
I have seen the photo, and I think we need to be cautiously optimistic, if you will. That lead needs to be followed up post haste, because what car was that person in? The FBI, and I'm sure the FBI will be continuing in their help in this case. They can take photos like that and enhance them, degrain them, if you will, and make it so easy to see. Also, we need to get that license information from that car and see if there's any connection between Mr. Driver and the operator of that car. So it's a great possible lead, and it should be followed up on.
Yeah, and the thing is, you and I see it all the time. There's so much stuff on Twitter and social media with cases like this. I'm really careful about what I post until things are confirmed, just because we don't know if things are connected. We can't say for sure that's also the suspect. And the bottom line, and this was a big message from Naomi's family too, like, you can get caught up in some of these sort of side details, but like the bottom line right now, and by the way, we're like now going to get off their property, so we should be okay. Let's spin it. At least we can solve the Walmart in the background. The bottom line right now is like, get Naomi's picture out there, these flyers that have the different photos of her, the face shots, the full body shot. Get the photo out as far and wide as possible. Get the photos of the suspect's truck with the license plate,
Yes.
and Naomi's car with the license plate, because if they can figure out, if someone spotted one of those cars, from the time she was abducted to the time law enforcement found the cars, someone may have seen one of those cars somewhere around here that would lead them to Naomi. And we know from the Gabby Petito case with the dash cam, that's what broke that case open. It could just be some regular person who drives around with the dash cam. If you go back and look at your dash cam for those time periods, you might have like a clue that could solve this whole thing.
That's absolutely right, Brian. And I think too, assuming he had a cellular phone, they need to be tracking the towers that cell pinged off of. after her abduction to see if they can at least get the path that he might have taken and driven. And I really hope once they establish that they release that they release these points, because I think it's so important, because somebody might say, oh my gosh, I was in that area at 7 o'clock or whatever. And let me just look back and see, or just, oh, wow, I recount this. So that information the police should come forward with to help find her.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up, Jennifer, just because the hearing starts in about 35 minutes. It's very close to here. I think it's like a mile away. I mapped it, but I just want to make sure we get there early. I'm going to try to live stream it. Hopefully the service will be good, but we'll have like a full update on NewsNation, starting on NewsNation Rush Hour, which starts at 5 o'clock Eastern. And Jennifer, as always, thank you for, always taking the time to provide your valuable insight.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Okay,
Hopefully
have a good day, Jennifer.
You too.
Yeah, I'll text you from the hearing and let you know what's going on.